Have you ever diligently inserted a coin to unlock a shopping cart at Aldi? Or stepped into their compact store and felt like you were joining a secret club? It's that minimalist, straightforward, no-frills approach that makes millions of Americans oddly addicted to Aldi. But do you think the meat here is simple, clean, and an absolute steal? Don't be so sure. Comment the number 7 if you've ever felt skeptical when choosing meat here. 11. Premium beef. As you pass by the meat section at Aldi, you pause when you spot a thick ribeye labeled USDA Choice. The marbling is clear, with fat veins evenly distributed, like a work of art, not unlike a $50 steak at a high-end restaurant. Then you see the price, just $12 to $18 per pound. In that moment, you feel like you've uncovered a secret only savvy shoppers know. That's the truth. At that price, Aldi's ribeye offers an unbelievable quality-to-price ratio, especially compared to steakhouse prices or specialty food stores. The meat is rich, tender, sweet, and juicy when cooked right. If you know how to marinate, control the heat, and pair it with some veggies, no one would guess you bought it from a discount supermarket. But of course, there are a few details Aldi doesn't spell out. While labeled USDA Choice, most of the beef comes from large-scale industrial farms. You won't find information about where it was raised, what the cows were fed, or their living conditions. No grass-fed or pasture-raised certifications, and definitely not organic. In other words, it's properly graded meat, but still within the framework of industrialized efficiency. Also, if you look closely, you'll notice inconsistency. Some ribeye cuts are thick and gorgeous, others have excess fat that needs careful trimming before cooking. This isn't a flaw, it's just the nature of cheap pricing. You get real steak at a reasonable cost, but it requires a bit of patience and discernment when selecting. 10. Beef hot dogs. Aldi's Parkview beef hot dogs can easily win you over at first glance. They're longer, thicker, and more satisfying than the tiny hot dogs you find elsewhere. A pack of 10 to 14 hot dogs costs about $1 per piece, a clear bargain, especially in these times of rising prices. The smoky aroma, balanced saltiness, and light snap of the casing when you bite in, all of it makes buyers feel like they're getting a perfect knockoff of pricier hot dogs from fast food stands. If you're the type who hosts backyard barbecues or just needs a quick meal for the kids, these are an ideal choice for both price and quantity. But what's behind that golden casing? Aldi states clearly, 100% beef. Sounds reassuring. But 100% beef doesn't mean completely clean. The ingredient list reveals more: corn syrup, sodium phosphates, potassium lactate, and a slew of flavor enhancers and preservatives. Each hot dog can contain over 500 milliliters of sodium, more than half the daily recommended amount in just one quick bite. What's more, there's no nitrate-free version, which concerns many, especially since nitrates are linked to long-term health risks. You also won't find details about the cattle's origin, how they were raised, their diet, or the production process. Aldi opts for its usual silence on supply chain transparency. So, are Aldi's beef hot dogs a steal or a tasty trap? The answer depends on how you consume. For occasional use at special gatherings, they're a solid choice. But if they become a weekly staple, you might want to reconsider. 9. Spiral sliced ham. During Thanksgiving or Christmas, Aldi's meat section is bustling with people hunting for spiral sliced ham. Priced at $2 to $3 per pound, this pre-sliced pork, complete with a packet of sweet glaze, becomes the star of family gatherings. You just pop it in the oven, heat it up, drizzle the glaze, and you've got a main dish that serves 10. No professional chef could do it faster. But behind that convenience is something many overlook. The glaze packet contains over 30 grams of sugar per serving, plus a lengthy list of additives, from corn syrup solids to food starches and artificial flavors. It's tantalizing to the taste buds, but clearly not friendly to heart health or those trying to cut back on ultra-processed foods. That's not all. A standard Aldi ham weighs 8 to 11 pounds. For a small family, this dish might last until day 5 and still not be finished. Ham sandwiches, ham fried with eggs, ham stir-fried with noodles. No matter how creative you get, your taste buds will tire after a few meals. Another concern is the salt content. Each serving contains over 200 milligrams of sodium, equivalent to more than 50% of the daily recommended amount. If you go for a second helping, which is likely, that number easily exceeds safe limits. So, should you buy it? The answer, if you're looking for a 30-minute party solution and aren't too strict about nutrition, it's a worthwhile choice. But if you prioritize a clean diet with controlled sugar and salt, consider alternatives, like roasting fresh meat yourself or buying low-sugar, unglazed ham from more transparent sources. 8. Deli meats. At Aldi, the deli counter is often passed by quickly. But for those who've tried the Never Any line, chicken, pork, or turkey with no antibiotics, no growth hormones, and no additives, it's a little secret worth keeping. The thinly sliced meat isn't too salty or tough. It's simply packaged and sold for less than $5 per pound. It's a sensible choice for lunchboxes or quick meals without sacrificing too much quality. But don't let the label's claims make you drop your guard. No antibiotics, or no preservatives, is just a starting point. You won't find any information about where the animals were raised, their living conditions, or the exact source of the ingredients. Did that chicken grow up on a small farm with lush pastures, or was it raised in cramped industrial cages? Aldi doesn't say, and you can't verify it either. Another point to consider. Even without strong preservatives like nitrates or nitrites, deli meats are still processed foods. Nutrition experts warn against eating them too often, especially for kids or people with a history of heart disease. What about quality? Most buyers say the meat is tender, easy to eat, and low in fat, a big plus compared to mainstream brands that are often saltier and taste artificial. However, some consumers report an odd smell if the meat is stored too long, even within its expiration date. This could point to inconsistencies in Aldi's storage or supply chain. 7. Seafood. Frozen seafood at Aldi is always a surprising stop for those wanting a high-protein, low-cost meal, from wild-caught salmon to jumbo shrimp or packaged tilapia. At about $5 per pound for salmon or under $10 for a bag of jumbo shrimp, many feel like they've hit the jackpot. But behind those neatly packaged seafood products are questions without clear answers. Some products, like salmon under the Fremont or specially selected brands, carry a sustainably sourced label. It sounds reassuring, but sustainable is a vague term. Who caught it? Where? Does it protect the environment? Aldi doesn't say. For tilapia or shrimp, you'll see they're processed in the US, but their origins are often industrial farms in China or Indonesia, where hygiene and environmental standards can vary widely. You don't know if that shrimp grew up in clean waters or crowded tanks with growth chemicals. What about quality? Most consumers agree. The fish is firm and the shrimp is sweet and easy to cook. But plenty also complain about mushy textures, fishy smells when thawed, or thick ice glazing, signs of poor freezing processes. It's a gamble, as you can't see inside the packaging. And one detail many overlook. Seafood is among the foods most prone to heavy metal or microbial contamination if sourced from unsafe waters. When you buy cheap products with unclear origins, you're betting on your health. 6. Frozen meat. If you've walked by Aldi's frozen section and spotted bags of Kirkwood chicken, you've likely thought, good, nutritious and cheap. A large bag of chicken breasts, thighs, or wings costs nearly 30% less than market prices. A deal too good to pass up. But behind those icy bags is a story that makes many pause and think. First off, you'll never know where the chicken you're eating came from. The packaging might say, processed in the US, but that doesn't mean it was raised here. Kirkwood chicken carries no organic certification, no details on where it was raised, and no information about the animal's living conditions. Chances are high you're eating products from industrial farms with dense populations, where profit takes priority over consumer health. As for quality, most buyers say the meat is decent, suitable for soups, frying, or grilling. However, it's not uncommon to encounter chicken frozen for too long, covered in frost, or turning mushy and losing texture after thawing. This isn't just a taste issue. It can affect food safety if freezing or storage standards aren't met. One more thing to know. Since the products come in large bags, you'll need to portion and refreeze them at home if you don't use them all at once. This means you need enough freezer space and a solid meal plan. Otherwise, you risk wasting food. Chicken thawed and left unused for more than 1 to 2 days often ends up in the trash, turning buying cheap into wasting money. 5. Smoked meats and sausages. You walk into Aldi on a weekend morning. Soft light glowing on neatly packaged bacon, promising a crispy breakfast alongside your coffee. Priced under $5 per pound, Aldi's bacon, whether Never Any or Kirkwood, is noticeably cheaper than big-name brands. But the question is, what comes with that low price? Taste-wise, Aldi surprises shoppers. The slices are thick enough, crisp up perfectly when fried, and have a bold, smoky flavor that's just right. Many swear they'll never go back to pricier brands. But here's the catch. Most of Aldi's bacon contains nitrates and nitrites, preservatives linked to potential health issues with long-term consumption. It's not an immediate danger, but for daily breakfast eaters it's worth considering. Sausages, like German-style bratwurst or Park Street Deli cold cuts, tell a similar story. The flavor keeps customers coming back, and the price makes them stock up. Yet, ingredient lists often include sodium phosphate, sugar, colorants, and stabilizers. You'll want to read labels carefully before tossing them in your cart. Convenience and taste can't fully replace transparency and safety. What's more, Aldi rarely discloses where its smoked meats and sausages come from or how they're made. No details about farms, no certified humane or pasture-raised labels. You buy for the flavor and price, but in return, you get uncertainty about the source, something premium brands at least try to clarify. 4. Pork. When it comes to pork at Aldi, many shoppers overlook it, unaware that it's a quiet star in the store's coolers. Pork belly, baby back ribs, shoulder, and tenderloin are displayed simply without flashy branding, but the prices can make you pause. Pork ribs sometimes cost under $2 per pound, a figure that feels unreal during inflation. For many families, Aldi's pork is a weekly staple, grilled, braised, stewed, or pan-seared. It's versatile, consistent in flavor, and budget-friendly. Quality-wise, for the price, it's reliable, tender, no off-odors, and less bruising than some other cheap meat sources. But consistent flavor doesn't mean clear origins. Packaging often just says, processed in the USA. That doesn't mean the pigs were raised in America, only that final packaging happened here. The pigs could come from Mexico, Canada, or elsewhere, processed and packaged before hitting US shelves. There's no info on farms, rearing conditions, or regular use of growth hormones or antibiotics. You won't find terms like pasture-raised or certified humane either. That's the trade-off for the low price. Silence about production. Aldi prioritizes efficiency, not the story behind the product. 3. Turkey. Turkey at Aldi feels like a hidden gem. When you find it, it's like winning the lottery. Prices are often 30 to 40% lower than at organic-focused stores. A pound of Simply Nature organic turkey costs about $5 compared to $8 at Whole Foods or Sprouts. But if you meal prep or love lean protein for healthy dishes, you've probably felt the frustration of walking into Aldi and finding no turkey at all. This isn't rare. Organic turkey, especially ground, appears and vanishes like a weather event. Some months it's reliably stocked. Others, it's gone without a trace. This makes long-term meal planning tough, forcing shoppers to keep a Plan B in mind. Some even visit multiple stores to hunt it down, something a budget supermarket should help you avoid. When you do find it, the product delivers real value. Aldi's organic turkey is free of antibiotics and growth hormones and raised on organic feed per USDA standards. Compared to traditional ground beef, it has less saturated fat while still providing about 20 grams of protein per serving. Ideal for dieters, seniors, or those managing cholesterol. The downside? What you can't see. Turkey comes in sealed plastic tubes with no clear window to inspect it. Some customers report inconsistent quality. Some batches are firm, fresh, and vibrant. Others are grayish, watery, and turn mushy when cooked. And, like many Aldi products, there's no info on where the turkeys were raised. It could be a small U.S. farm or a large foreign facility. As long as it meets USDA standards, it hits the shelves. 2. Chicken. At Aldi, chicken is one of the most sought-after items, especially the Simply Nature organic line. The price makes you do a double take. A pack of organic, antibiotic-free, hormone-free chicken breast costs about 60% of what you'd pay at Whole Foods. For savvy shoppers, it feels like a steal, at least on the surface. But if you think organic means chickens frolicking in sunny pastures, you might be disappointed. Aldi doesn't share farm names, show pictures of farmers, or describe rearing conditions. Per USDA standards, access to outdoor space can mean a small door leading to a concrete yard. In other words, organic doesn't always mean natural. That said, the product delivers consistent quality. The chicken isn't overly watery when cooked, stays firm, and has good flavor, rare for budget poultry. Whether you roast it whole, stir-fry it with veggies, or simmer it in soup, the results are satisfying. For busy folks, it meets the need for clean, quick, and affordable eating. The biggest issue is consistency. One day, there's chicken breast. The next, only a few thigh trays. The week after, nothing. Aldi keeps low inventory to cut costs, turning shopping into a game of chance. Some shoppers plan a weekend barbecue only to find the chicken gone without a trace. Then there's the industrial packaging factor. You can't tell how the chicken was handled before reaching you. Was it frozen and thawed? How long was it transported? Aldi doesn't answer these questions. 1. Beef. If you've ever stopped by Aldi's beef section and seen prices around $4 per pound, you might have felt like you stumbled on treasure. The trays of 80/20 ground beef, simply packaged and neatly stacked in the cooler, don't look special but draw crowds for being tasty, nutritious, and cheap. The catch? It's so affordable you start to wonder why. Aldi doesn't disclose where its cattle come from, where they're raised, what they eat, or how they live. U.S. law only requires labeling the packaging location, not the farm. So, packaged in USA doesn't mean the cow was American. It could have been raised in Canada, Mexico, or even Australia, then processed and packaged in the U.S. This makes quality hard to predict. The same ground beef can sometimes have tough sinew, dull color, or an off smell despite being within date. Some customers report winning with juicy, fresh batches, while others get watery, crumbly meat that turns color in the fridge within a day. Plus, this beef mostly comes from industrially raised cattle, fattened quickly on genetically modified corn and soy. If you're hoping for omega-3s from grass-fed beef, you'll likely be let down. Studies show grass-fed beef can have up to 5 times more omega-3s than grain-fed. A big difference if nutrition matters to you. Buying beef at Aldi requires planning. Large packs seem like a deal, but without a clear use plan, you'll need to freeze them immediately to avoid waste. Aldi doesn't offer smaller portions, so you're stuck dividing it at home, something not everyone has time or space for. You can score real deals, especially if you just need meat for simple dishes and don't care about origins. But if you value nutrition, animal welfare, or sustainability, each pack raises unanswered questions. No traceability, no transparency, no consistent standards. Aldi leaves the choice to you. In this game, those who read labels carefully, have a freezer ready, and know what they're buying come out ahead. What do you think? Which Aldi meat makes you happiest or leaves you disappointed? Drop a number in the comments to let us know you watched to the end.